Right, so we're in the car. Bria, Jock. I've got the dogs here as well. So let's go and have a COVID safe exercise in Saltcoats, and I'll tell you a little bit about the town. See you soon. So here we are, Saltcoats shorefront. I'm just seeing how we got on with this microphone. Here it is. I'll give you a little shot of the background. Not a bad day. Now, what we have here, this is the original Great Wall of Saltcoats. This was actually built in 1432 by a guy called John Smith, lived in Race Street. It was actually to fend off an invasion by the Chinese, and it worked pretty well. It worked so well they kind of stole the patent for it and took it back and built their own wall. Let's see what else we can find. As you'll see way off in the distance, way off in the distance here, this is what they call Saltcoats Castle. It's actually, they call it a castle, but it's actually a fort or a keep, and that's traditionally where they killed the Catholics, the Buddhists, just prior to the Reformation. They used to just chop them off. Quite sad really. Anyway, let's see what else we can find. This way. Yeah. Come on. Jock, come. Lie down. This is the Saltcoats Swan Market, where you can come and buy your swan for your Christmas dinner. There's not many of these farms left in Scotland. It used to be a tradition, mostly in the early 19th century, but still alive and well here in Saltcoats, where obviously food isn't in abundance. So as we go further along at the Saltcoats shorefront, we see this amazing geological feature. This is twinned with, it's actually a natural geographic feature created by volcanic rock, molten rock cooling down. It's quite amazing. Good job. Good boy. Come on, fetch it. Come on, fetch it. Here. Now, here we've came to the Saltcoats bandstand. This was built in the 1920s, and it's played host to some of the greats. This is actually where the Beatles played their second concert. Not a lot of people know that. It's quite cool. I think also that's where Tchaikovsky played the debut of his second symphony also. It's quite astounding. Anyway, we'll continue along the Saltcoats shorefront. Not a bad day. Just seeing how it goes with the camera. Come on. Hopefully you can hear me, because you don't want to miss out. So here we are further along, hopefully you can hear me. We're now at the site of the Stanley burn. Just let the car pass. So this is actually the Stanley burn. Stay there, Bria. Stay. Now, it doesn't look much, but this is actually the boundary between Saltcoats and Ardrossan. It used to be a lot further apart, but due to continental drift and tectonic plate movement, they've actually got closer together, and in some cases they're kind of on top of each other. Now this over here, behind this fence, this used to be the Stanley Hotel. Unfortunately that got flattened in the Blitz, and if you just go further up the burn, behind these houses here, there's an area called the Plantation. Now that's where Saltcoats used to get all its cotton from. Obviously that had to end after the abolition of slavery. But anyway, look who's coming. I've just seen my sister and my niece across the road here. So they're coming to see us. Hiya! Now, the Stanley Burn, that's actually named after Stanley Baxter, his great grandfather, Stanley Senior. So they've obviously looked after it. They could do with dredging it a little bit. And every so often, every December, they put flowers here in memory of Stanley Baxter's great grandfather. It's quite nice. It's respectful. Anyway, walking along the prom, there's a lot of people getting their exercise today. I thought I would mention as well, just with regards to the hair, it should be noted that this has been filmed during the Great Hairdressers Strike of 2021, and where they all took action, they decided not to cut hair any longer. So here we are again, further along the shorefront. It's a beautiful day, lovely clouds and the seagulls flying. Now another thing that a lot of people don't know about Saltcoats is the Memorial Hospital. This was, it used to actually be a proper hospital, but then they decided, as a tribute to all the pigeons that were used in the Second World War, that they would leave it over to the pigeons. So it's a place where retired and injured pigeons can now go to live out the rest of their years. They're pretty much leading the way with animal welfare in Saltcoats. Lovely idea. Anyway, we'll move on and see what else we can see. Further along the front again now, and somebody put a bench up. This is actually a bench to commemorate Coco the Clown, and these are all Coco's old flowers, the ones that he used to pull out of his sleeves. Not a lot of people knew that he was actually from Saltcoats. I think he was actually Ardrossan, but his parents moved when he was 7. So they both lay claim to him. Get him. Good. Job. Quick shot from inside the car. We are now in Main Street in Saltcoats, and if you look here, you'll see the famous. Hold on till I work out how to work this. Yep, the famous Metropolis or Metro nightclub. This was previously cinema, and it was either the La Scala or the Regal, can never quite remember. Anyway, it was a wonderful nightclub, world famous nightclub, one of the biggest, most successful in Scotland throughout the whole dance music scene. And anyway, it had to shut down as a cinema when the town fathers found out that it was showing pornography during the day. So anyway, it shut down for a few years, and then they made it into the nightclub. It became one of the most successful nightclubs. But sadly, it was completely razed to the ground in the 90s poll tax riots. But due to its listing, I think it's grade 1 listing, they had to promise to bring it back to its original style and condition. So they've done a marvellous job in recreating, even down to the holes in the stonework and like the paint chipping off the wall. It's quite remarkable. And there's the caretaker. He's responsible for looking after it now. He keeps it in that current state. He's doing a marvellous job. Anyway, let's see where we can go next. Here we are in Green Street, Saltcoats, and I'll just turn you around. This is the site of the old Green Street police station, which the Americans liked so much that they bought it, and it was taken down brick by brick and sent off to Memphis, Tennessee, where it now stands as the Memphis Police Department headquarters. Didn't know that. And back again, another location, Caledonia Road I think this is called. And what you see over here, if you can see this here, I'll turn you around. What you see over here is the famous Cutty Sark boat, and it's here to signify the highest ever recorded tide in Saltcoats. It was actually washed up here. That was in the 1950s. So it's quite a good way to signify and keep a record of that. Obviously this was all completely underwater at that time. It's tragic, but nobody was hurt. So again, this is us at a different angle of the plantation that I was telling you about. So earlier I was standing over here, and you can see where the river comes and meanders and all this lush green grass, which obviously made it perfect for growing the cotton. And my sister reminded me that I had forgotten all about it, that earlier on where I showed you the swan farm, where they get the swan meat from down at the front, that was actually an area that they'd closed off so that when the tide went out it caught all the salt. And this plantation where they grew the cotton, they were famous for famous for manufacturing jackets and coats, and that's where the name of the town comes from, the Saltcoats. Salt from the salt pans, and the coats from the cotton plantations here in the middle of Saltcoats. But aye, so I think we're just about done with the tour. I can't really think what else I can show you. Oh, I know. Site of the battle up here. I'll show you in a minute. So here we are at the Jack's Park, Saltcoats, and it's a massive grass area, and it actually named after Jack Nicklaus. This is the famous golfer. This is where he got his longest ever recorded drive, except he was doing it with a putter. And this is the Jack's Park Memorial, which was the battle scene during the 80s and the 90s, where the Protestants and the Catholics used to meet in this big expanse here, and they would fight. It wasn't for the full 20 years. It happened regularly, and unfortunately, tragically, there was actually quite a few casualties as a result of that. Some serious scratches and bruising, I believe. So, if I can think anywhere else to show you, I'll take you, but I hope you found that informative.